Secretary of State Marco Rubio saying both Russia and Ukraine must make concessions to achieve a peace deal. For more, let's bring in Russian opposition politician and former political prisoner in Russia, Vladimir Kara-Murza. Mr. Kara-Murza, thank you for being here. You are so suited to speak to really what is transpiring right now. I want to get your reaction to where we are.
Thank you so much, Griff, for having me back on the program. Well, in a sense, Vladimir Putin got his biggest gift even before he set his foot on Alaskan soil last Friday. The very fact of the invitation was a gigantic prize for him. Look, we're talking about somebody who is an illegitimate usurper, who has stayed in power in brazen violation of any constitutional term limits. That is a fact that, by the way, has been legally recognized by lawmakers across Europe in these past 2 years, as members both of the European Parliament and the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe passed formal resolutions of non-recognition of Putin's presidency, because this is not a legitimate head of state. He's a dictator and a usurper. Vladimir Putin is also an indicted war criminal with an active arrest warrant issued against him by the International Criminal Court in The Hague for war crimes committed by Putin's army during the all-out invasion of Ukraine. By the way, this is the reason for the location of the meeting in Alaska, because Vladimir Putin is paranoid to fly over the airspace of any country that is a participant in the Rome Statute, not a subject to the jurisdiction of the International Criminal Court. He's paranoid of his plane being down and him being transferred over to The Hague, to the dock to stand trial where he should be, like former Soviet dictator Slobodan Milosevic, hence Alaska, because this is just a short 60-mile flyover across the Bering Strait, as you know, directly from Russia into the United States. And it was mind-boggling to see these images that you're just showing to your viewers right now with, the President of the United States hosting an illegitimate usurper and an indicted war criminal, giving him literally a red carpet treatment on American soil. This is the biggest gift Putin could ever have hoped for without even conceding an inch.
But, Vladimir, President Trump has made it very clear that he wants to stop the killing. He wants the fighting to end. The spokeswoman for the State Department, Tammy Bruce, talked about this a little bit, saying that, only someone like Donald Trump can get these two to get to a resolution, and that they have to speak face to face in order to move towards a deal. I want you to listen to this and get your reaction.
We'll recall the last administration didn't speak to Putin or the Russians for 3 years. The president understands that in order to get to peace, it has to be through diplomacy. That's his preference. And you can only do that when you meet with people and when you talk with them like individuals.
So your point is taken on what Putin may have gained by literally just being brought to Alaska. But what about the fact that it will take this face-to-face meeting to get ultimately to a peace deal?
Well, look, I'm sure Neville Chamberlain also had the best of intentions when he went into Munich to meet with Adolf Hitler in September 1938 and signed away a part of Czechoslovakia, the Sudetenland region, to him without so much as asking the Czechoslovaks. And, I'm sure everyone remembers those iconic archival footage, images of, Mr. Chamberlain waving that piece of paper after arriving from Munich saying, "This is peace for our time." I know how that one worked out. I think one of the clearest lessons from history is that you can never achieve peace by rewarding an aggressor. And this is exactly who Vladimir Putin is. And it isn't the question of talking or not talking. It's the question of how you talk. It's the question of whether you talk from a position of strength and principle, like, for example, Ronald Reagan did with Mikhail Gorbachev back in Reykjavik in 1986.
Yeah.
Or if you just hand an aggressor this amazing PR stunt, this amazing propaganda gift, without him even giving an inch in return. There was not a single gesture of goodwill on Putin's part before he went into Alaska. He did not release a single Ukrainian civilian captive. He did not return a single Ukrainian child abducted to Russia. He did not release a single Russian political prisoner who is jailed because of their opposition to the war in Ukraine. There's 3 Nobel Peace Prize laureates asked for him before the meeting. And in fact, as you know, Putin's foreign minister, Sergei Lavrov, arrived in Alaska with a T-shirt saying USSR on it, and Russian state propagandists, the so-called journalists from Russian media, while they were flying on the way to Alaska, they were served chicken Kiev for dinner.
Yeah, so
they couldn't behave in a more brazen fashion, and it's very clear why they feel entitled to do so.
I hear and appreciate your passion and your perspective. My goodness, you were a political prisoner in Russia. But I do want to point out that, European leaders are pretty optimistic about this. There are going to be many of them from the EU's Ursula von der Leyen to NATO's Secretary General Mark Rutte, along with a handful of European presidents and chancellors. They're optimistic that President Trump and this administration are going to accomplish something, and maybe that even involves some deal with regards to the thousands of children. First Lady Melania wrote a letter ultimately saying it's time those children be returned. I've got a few seconds. Your reaction to the First Lady's letter?
I think it's really important to talk about people. There are so many different things being talked about in the context of this potential settlement. We hear talk about sanctions, about frozen assets, about rare earth minerals, and God knows what else. We don't hear enough talk about people. And there are thousands of Ukrainian kids who have been abducted to Russia. There are thousands of Ukrainian civilian captives who are being illegally held by Putin's Russia. And there are thousands of Russian political prisoners, my fellow Russian citizens who are in prisons, in Putin's prisons, just like I was until last year, for speaking out against this criminal war of aggression. And I think if anything can be gotten out of this agreement, of this settlement, it has to be the people, those thousands of people's lives that can still be saved. They have to be saved. And this has to be a priority for the free world going forward.
Well, and First Lady Melania certainly would agree with that. It's got to be about the people and these children. Vladimir Kara-Murza, thank you for taking time today and share your insight.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, it's Will Cain. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News channel on YouTube. It's the best way to get our latest interviews and highlights. And click to subscribe to the Will Cain podcast for full episodes right now.